There is a guy that's starting to gain some acclaim on the back of a strong Senior Bowl performance and on the back of a good college career. Great college career. So reset Eli Manning's passing records out there at Ole Miss. And so what I wanted to do today on today's show, in a long form fashion, as you guys know that I do tend to do, is take a look at this player that we're going to look at as a potential for the Seattle Seahawks here as a quarterback. And the reason I want to do this is because, number one, I think there's a real possibility and a chance of this because he is really rising up the board, that being Jaxson Dart. And then number two, this is also something that I think that the fan base is very invested in wondering about and considering. John Schneider moved Russell Wilson a couple of years ago, and many people at that time were chomping at the bit to see the Hawks pivot to that quarterback of the future, the young star guy. In a lot of ways, really, we haven't had much of that in Seattle throughout our history here as a franchise. We're going to look at this as a little bit of why I'm going to try to present to you why I think he's starting to gain more acclaim into being a first-round pick. I've got some tape I want to show you guys in regards to this in addition. But it's also still going to be cross-referenced back with the fact that I'm not necessarily as much fully on board with looking at the guy as a purified first-round guy. This is really a John falls in love with him, I think, kind of situation, or some GM falls in love with him kind of situation that would drive this to happen. When I look at him, I think that there's some really good stuff to what he does, but there's also some things there that give you some slight concerns on it. But we know with John that if he's got a guy that he really likes, he can lock in, and he doesn't necessarily pick quarterbacks often, but when he's got one he likes, he's going to pick him in probably the right spot for where they should go based on the interest around him. Let's look at, though, a couple of things on the surface of this quarterback to start this off with him as far as his profile goes. He is a little bit below 6'2". He just was measured in at the Senior Bowl, so a little bit below that, so he's not going to have necessarily the pure size you look at in the position. The 225-pound listed weight is real. He's got good size to him on that. If you're going to be a bit of an undersized guy like a Russell Wilson was, you need to have a little bit of the heft that you bring so you can sustain some of those hits. I think the lighter guys, the thinner, skinnier guys, they're the ones who have a tendency to get broken at the next level with those kind of builds. And as I said, you can see with him over his 3 years here with Ole Miss, he's reset passing records there with Eli Manning. Again, only doing it in 3 years there. Transfer from USC, where he had a little bit of time there. So a little bit of, again, some shades to me of a bit of a Russell Wilson kind of situation you could look at with him here. He is only 21, so he's not super old as a prospect coming out. There's not going to be that black mark on him. So teams are going to look at him and say, well, there is still some belief or reason to maybe believe here that there's going to be some more upside to be realized from him now. But you can see with the, other than the good weight, he's not going to, from a 6'1.5", 6'1 3/4", give you necessarily size. But we've seen guys be successful at that size. That's not far off a guy like even an Aaron Rodgers, for instance. So he can make it work at that point. And again, not a one-year wonder. That's sometimes one thing I worry about with quarterbacks coming out that start to gain too much acclaim too fast, is it all becomes on the back of a one-year wonder kind of experience. Even Anthony Richardson, another very young quarterback, only had that one season of starting and didn't give you a lot of track record to go off of to make your determination about how good the player really was. You're doing a lot of projecting out to what you think he could be based on the little flashes you would get here and there. And with, I think, Dart, it's not really about him just giving the flashes. He's very consistent in that performance. His production does also bear that out. For what it's worth, for those that are maybe interested in a little bit of his overall grade this year as far as how he was measured up against the other college quarterbacks in the NCAA by PFF and just overall rating there, you can see that there's a lot of guys on this list, as I'm showing you here, that are guys that are going to be in consideration even for this upcoming draft. Kyle McCord, Shadur Sanders, Cam Ward. And you can see right there at number 3, there's a bit of a sample size, which is why you don't have number 1 listed there. So technically it's really number 2 when you remove the sample size guy that's at number 1. So the second highest graded quarterback in college football. And that, of course, is going to bear in for from some front offices when it comes to considering this guy, because analytics are starting to weigh in a little bit more heavier. It's not going to be a big weight of it. You're going to go to over all this other stuff's going to really carry much more of the determination, but it's a part of the process to consider that he is that well graded and he plays that smart. You're not going to play loose and too free with the ball. Ward has got a little bit of that to him. He's a bit of the outlier with this kind of thing because he can play that way a little bit, but he's just so productive on the other side of it that he counterbalances that to make up for it. But I would say even Dart is probably even a little bit more safer in his overall play and how he goes about it. Another thing that's going to probably appeal a little bit to GMs and maybe even John Schneider on this side of things. Let's go into some of the tape though, and I want to kind of give you guys a capturing, if I can, of this player. And if I can, as much to both illustrate why I think he's kind of gaining some rise up into the first round kind of area of things, and then also why there's maybe a little bit of some hesitancies in some of the things I've seen, and from what he's coming out of is the type of offense that he's structured out of, how long this might take in his development. Is he a guy that's really going to be game day ready within just even a year, as he's not even taking snaps under center? That's not like Russell in that situation, where Russell was a guy who had ran a pro style offense out there at Wisconsin, who had taken under center snaps, and so he wasn't starting from square one on that. He's got to learn basic footwork on a drop back right now, because everything's going to be happening out of the RPO. And this is the first place I want to begin with Dart, is that big part of what has me a little bit concerned in watching this offense, and this is the thing that would kind of drive me crazy at times with Quinn Ewers, is the offense is so much RPO driven. It's so much just get the ball out of the quarterback's hands instantaneous, really hyper easy reads where you're just, not even a half field thing here. It's just, you're going to throw it there. That's where the ball is going to go. And so oftentimes it's out of the guy's hand quick, and it's to a predetermined read really fast. And so you're not watching him necessarily do quarterback things, so especially when you put that in conjunction with the lack of any dropbacks as far as under center. Now, again, this isn't unusual. There's a lot of quarterbacks out there that are running these kind of style offenses. So it is a little bit of just what you have to do is the nature of the beast when you deal with that. But to kind of illustrate my point, you get throws like these that I'm going to show you here in sequence. Throws like these where it's just quick, little just firing throws, bam. Get it out. It's a good throw. Nice out route throw there. Puts a little bit of pepper on it. Really good. Okay. Come back here with another throw. He's just going to get it right out of his hand. Bam. Right in the hands. Love the ball placement. You can see he's putting the down away from the defender. He doesn't get his guy killed with the other defender that's closing in over the top to lay the kill shot, right? So it's also a really good ball placement. That's what's going to jump out to evaluators that do watch him on a throw like this. But it's also, as you can see, he's taking the hike. He's throwing the ball. And there's a big fat open lane for him to throw through. This is all over the tape. I'm showing you some of these cut-ups, but it's just, take my word for it, this stuff's all over the tape. Now here he's trying to beat the blitz, smartly recognizes it, but it's just a five-man fire zone blitz. It's not like they're sending the house here, but bam, ball out of the hands. It's got a pretty quick delivery, you can see that. It's not super elongated, you can kind of just snap it off for being a smaller guy. Sometimes those guys too have to really get their body into the throw. Another one here, RPO, just a quick little throw. Making the gut, ball comes out, quick delivery, ball's on time, good velocity, don't get me wrong there, but it doesn't give you a chance to really do a lot with making determinations off this, right? Because you almost go, well, just about any QB can kind of do that stuff in that. Again, RPO, loop it right over the top. Guy ends up dropping the ball too, and there's some of these I can only show so much time on the frame with it, but loop over the top, quick throw, not necessarily going through a lot of different stuff. So this is a lot of what the tape does have on it. You can't hear just dropping back. What does this tell you in the quarterback? They drop back, this guy blocks, just throws the check down to him. And the teams are dropping back, as you're seeing. It does speak to when you're watching defenses here on the All-22 dropping back to depth like they are. You can see that that's respect for his deep ball, his deep arm. That's part of this here. Part of it also is just that this is a little bit of the offense, RPO, out route there. Just this is what you're watching over and over again at times and then you've got to kind of find the throws in between there with him, which can make it tough. Where I do think he does stand out, though there's going to be a bit of a place that I want to talk about with this, is the deep ball and having a good, strong arm down the field that can be really able to push it down the field in that way. He's probably very close to a kind of a Bo Nix arm strength wise. Bo Nix kind of underrated with some of the arm strength last year and his ability to kind of push the ball down the field. And this guy's got a little bit more of an ability beyond Bo, I would say, of layering the ball in and being able to take some RPMs off and exhibit different throws for different situations, where with Nix, if he's going deep, it's going to be kind of on a line and he's just going to let it really rip and go. Nix might have just a hair bit more arm strength, I think, than Dart does too as well, if you want to look for, some differences there. He also probably has a little bit better, more mobility. I think he's going to be a little bit faster when he's Nix's time versus what we're going to see from Dart. They're saying Dart's going to be somewhere between 4.55, 4.65 is what his people are saying that he's trying to shoot for. I think he's going to be more 4.65 to 4.7, more into that kind of, it's good. It ain't bad, but he's not lightning fast. It's something I'm going to show you guys on that here in a second. But the deep ball, when it does come out, when he does make these throws, it looks so good. And on tape, you see him putting the ball on the spot. Perfect throw in motion, no wasted motion. Receiver ends up dropping this pass. Great pocket here. puts it right over the top. But if he gets press coverage on the outside and watching the tape with it, and you don't have that safety lurking over high, it's a little bit of times of kind of almost a bit like Jaden Daniels last year, where when Jaden Daniels wanted to effortlessly go to that fade route with the layered throw over the top, and not like a fade route at the end zone, but just kind of layer right up over the top to Neighbors, he could put that thing right in the spot where he wanted to put it deep and lock it right into that place. Now, the accuracy can dip and go at times here with Dart, but when it is locked in like this and there's so many throws on his tape like this, it does stand out that he's got it in his bag. Again, see how he kind of takes a little bit off that throw. He isn't trying to gun this in here. He's putting it to the spot, but still manages to lead the man out in front. Great timing on the throw. Beautiful spiral, real catchable pass. Maybe like if he could to put it out a little bit more front, but he wants to make sure he gets the completion in there because this guy's got a ton of separation on the play. Another deep ball here. This one I want to show you again too is where he will, this a little bit reading coverage. This is a broken coverage, but you can see at the top, if I pause this, right at the top, we've got the safeties in real low here. They're in that cover 2 shell look, but he's got a guy running deep. So if this guy doesn't maintain the depth and he reads that, he's going to attack it deep. So there is a little bit of reading this, which is nice here on his part. On the play action, blown coverage, and as soon as he sees the safety drive, he lays it right up over the top. Not bad arm strength either there. It's about 18-yard line. Ends up landing in about the 32-yard line. Same hash, but not bad. Again, going to attack deep here. Play it once you guys can see it. I want to kind of show a little bit of this, of what he sees in coverage, because this is a bit like what I was talking about, where he's going to attack you when you don't have a safety high. So there's single high safety. This looks like kind of a cover 3 look. Off coverage at the top with the guy that he wants to target. He knows his man can beat that. This is such a beautiful throw from a timing standpoint, touch standpoint, where he puts the ball in at. But it's also the reading and understanding that that safety over here is not going to get to the top side of this play. So there's also a little bit of the feel of that safety, a little bit of that veteranness he brings. To give you another angle on this, check out this angle on this throw. Look at that thing. Beautiful catch. Trey Harris, know the name, another prospect in this draft. But these kind of throws are going to be wild throws for NFL evaluators. Corner never even gets his head turned back around here. Now, this is against Wake Forest. Make of that what you will. Wake didn't exactly have the best of teams. Another deep throw here against Penn State. They put the belt to ass on Penn State last year. Chick-fil-A Bowl. I've been telling you guys here is that he's going to punish you if you don't leave a safety over the top. So we have Captain Fantastic here as a real shallow single high safety here prior to the snap. He's probably feeling there's going to be a blitz here, so the timing's not going to be to where he's got a lot of time to read this. But he quickly goes and finds his man high side here and puts the ball right in between the two players on a nice throw. So good decision making here. This game, Penn State just blitzed the ever-loving God out of him, and he was really tough in the pocket in this one. Another one here. Just a beautiful ball here on the little, just a soft little layered throw, drops in like a pillow, right to the spot. What does he got at the bottom of the screen? I know you can't really see it here, so let me try to show you a little bit. We got press coverage at the bottom of the screen here, so he recognizes that. He's got 2 safety high, so he's going to be locking a little bit in on what is this safety here at the top doing to see if he's going to drive out here to his 9 route. The safety doesn't. Couple steps creeping in. He's got one-on-one with the press, which means now he can attack to that high side. Let me show it here from this angle. So got the press, attack. Watch that safety though again, because this is where his eyes, I think, are locked into here as he's watching here. I don't think he's watching. I think he just knows that safety's not going to get over. But another beautiful throw. A couple more here of these, just so you guys get the idea. These are going to be on his tape. He's had a lot of big-time throws this year. Another just little layered in throw. This is a different one than the one I just showed you guys. Again, just that ability. Cleat gets in the back foot, loft it up, put it right in the right spot. This is very shades of Jaden Daniels last year. And this is going to run. It's not he's the same player as Jaden Daniels. He doesn't have Jaden Daniels' arm strength, doesn't have his mobility. But this is the stuff that's going to remind, I think, some of the evaluators and why he's going to start to go up boards in times when they see this stuff. Even though there is at times, some inaccuracy there on the deep stuff. I think it's going to be enough to kind of overwhelm them a little bit when they watch him on this stuff. Here again, It's a beautiful ball. No safety help over the top here. He's got off coverage at the bottom of the screen. That's where he's looking to attack. And I'm not sure if he ever reads the slot is going to end up as the slot here ends up as your cover two safety post snap. So I don't know if he ever really reads truly that the slot's coming over there, but his ball placement's so good here where he puts it that he doesn't bring it back into the safety. Stop and go route. They ran a lot of this stuff out there. Again, I think you guys get the idea on these ones. Ball placement was really good with him on watching the tape as well. Another thing that stands out is where he puts the ball here, going through both multiple reads, and then look where the ball's at. I mean, just a fantastic throw. But again, coming off the back of read 1, read 2, come back to read 3. That's on his third read making that throw. Very impressive. And he's getting hit while he makes the throw, by the way, which is more what you're going to see, the toughness in the pocket from him. I've got a couple cut-ups on this you'll see where just because he's getting hit, he's still going to try to deliver that ball, and oftentimes he'll still put the ball in the spot. He'll get it there. Another one with some ball placement here, play action pass, another RPO. Ball's out, right to the right spot. Nothing fancy on that one. Some of these are pretty straightforward. Here, just see how I was telling you, like he's going to stand tall in there. Penn State just battered and bruised him in this game. Pressure mounting in on the back of him, throws it off his back foot. Still able to somehow fire it. It's definitely a dangerous pass, and these are the throws where when he was not a bad decision maker when he would get picked off, it's that he would be just trying to do too much of, like we'd see from Geno last year, a bit of the superhuman, superhero stuff in what he's trying to do. But here he puts the ball in the right spot. He is a back shoulder fade master. Part of that ability with that layered throw and touch, he really does a good job of being able to put that on a back shoulder throws too. I'll show you a couple of those in these cut-ups that do stand out. Ball placement on these, just kind of what I want you guys to look for here. He's dropping back. He's got a dead blitzer in his face, unblocked blitzer off the edge. So the blitzer is going to come off the edge and hit him here, and he's going to layer this thing in right at the right spot while he's got a guy gunning down on him. There's no fear in the pocket. There's no flinching. There's no, oh, I'm going to get hit. He's going to still deliver that ball and still deliver it in the right spot. Again here, just gets completely wrecked and still does deliver the ball there. I mean, look, he gets his head taken off here, basically. And yeah, that is complete. I know you can't tell, but it is. Cameraman kind of lost the ball. So he throws the ball so hard the cameraman can't stay with it. But you do like the fearlessness of the kid. Again there, blitz in his face. Look at that throw. Caden Prescorn, he's going to go probably 5th, 6th round in this draft, tight end. Hell of a catch with the one-handed catch. But again, blitzer looping in right in his face. Delivers the ball in a spot where his man can still catch it. All the feet are in both cleats in the dirt. My man JT O'Sullivan likes to say. Everything pointed up nicely. Again here, hit as he throws. Ball's right on the right spot. The ball placement's there even when he's getting battered. Here you even got a blown situation where, look, you end up with 2 receivers from Ole Miss. Look at the top right screen here where you got 2 receivers up here in the right corner. Basically, this is not how you coach it up. So this is also something that gets broken on this play that was not what you were wanting to see happen. Great throw. Poise in the pocket. Moxie, all that good stuff. Another one here, we're just going over the middle. Another one of those quick throws that I talked about, but still, you do love the ball placement here. He's going through a couple reads. He first looks outside, checks his read outside, comes back to the middle. He really diced people up in the middle of the field. That's where he was at his best. But that's also going to bring up a point we're going to talk about that's part of where there's also a little bit of some concerns within that, because some of that was him having the advantage of those widened hash marks. A couple of just kind of random things I want to show you. First off, again, the back shoulder stuff all over the place with him on the tape. Just puts it right into the spot. His ball placement on these kind of throws over and over again is really, really good. There is, again, some inconsistency about him always being clean and landing it. Sometimes his receivers didn't always do him the best to work with that. But he's really good on the back shoulder throws. Beating the blitz, pre-snap reads, recognizing what's going on. Okay, so he's going to be told from his sideline. You can watch here as, see how everybody's heads turns to the sideline? That's because you've got Penn State in what looks like a cover zero situation. Cover zero blitz, everyone's coming. So they look over to the sideline. Dart goes, oh, hold on. So change it up. So I'm going to play this in just regular so you see this pre-snap here. He goes, okay, hold on, guys. Getting this into the right play. So now we're going to play the game, folks, of how does he beat the blitz here. So you're looking at this as a quarterback. They're all over the top. You may have a free rusher in your face. Where do you go with the ball? Off his back foot, hits his man, touchdown. Have a plan on how to beat the blitz. He finds the man who was uncovered by Penn State. And when you look across the board from his math, this guy guarded here, this guy guarded here, this guy guarded here, bottom of your screen guarded here, everybody else blitzes. This guy's left as my one guy. So smart player as well. He's not just out there being a robot or not understanding what he needs to do. I've mentioned he's going to be able to go through multiple reads at times. Again here, starts outside, comes back inside. Most of this offense is simplified, but there is some of this on tape. It's not all over the place. It is not going to be something you're going to get over and over again, but it is on his tape. There are a couple of these times you get this where he's going through and getting it done with that. Really good in the red zone, really improvisational in the red zone. Great vision down there. He really is good as a smart decision maker. Here you get a little bit of actually under center, a rare look on that point. Ends up finding his tight end in the back of the end zone. It's kind of a two-read look. You look short, you look deep. He goes to the deep guy there. But quite a few plays with him down in the red zone making good decisions. Players in his face here, still gets it off doesn't have to have all of his cleats in the dirt to get out a pass in the right place in an accurate spot. Puts this on the outside shoulder of the receiver in the right place, only where his receiver can get at that point. But he is very smart down in by the red zone. Again, I think that's a thing that's going to appeal to a lot of talent evaluators. This is one of the places that they really lock in on. Again, a guy right in his face, hit as he throws. I know this is not the hardest of throws, but he gets the ball to his guy by some way, hook or crook, gets it to his man in position and make the catch, go make the touchdown. Really, really, really good in that way. A little bit of an ability to throw on the run as well, both moving to his left and moving to his right. I said he can be hit, and you can be knocking him down, and you can have him corralled and think, okay, we got him, and he still finds a way just to get that throw off. Doesn't need to have his whole body into it. Doesn't need to, have everything locked in. This is a little bit like Bryce Young a couple years ago. Like Bryce need to have all of his cleats in the dirt to be able to get throws off, even kind of like this at times. But able to do it, still get a little bit of touch on it. That's a hell of a throw. Right over the top. Hell of a throw. I mentioned toughness with him, and what I want to show you first is this play as a two-play sequence where he comes back here. He's been hammered all game against this Penn State. Like I said, this was a game where Ole Miss gave it to Penn State. They handed it to them. And so this is one of the more rare moments in this game where Penn State's kind of getting back after him. They're able to actually make him pay the price on the blitz and forces an interception. So he gets hit on this play, throws an interception. They come right back on the very next play. Again, pressure right in his face. Delivers a great ball into his man. Is this a hard level throw? But no, this is coming off just making that great mistake, having a guy bearing down in your face. The very next play, making this throw off the back of that other one. The toughness angle is one I don't want to oversell, but I don't want to make sure we undersell this as well. He is unflinching in the pocket. You're not going to see this guy playing scared. You're not going to see him worried about taking a hit. He'll take the hit. He'll make the throw. Landon Jackson bearing down on the backside of him here. That'll be a third, fourth round pick. Still gets it off, puts it in the right spot. Tough kid. Really tough kid. Rolling to the left, I mentioned he could do. I showed you a throw rolling to his right. He can also do a little bit of rolling to his left. Moves out here. Gets some throw. Puts it in the right spot. This man can get his feet down. So you get a little bit of everything with him as a quarterback. There's not one skill that does jump out in what he does bring, but he gives you just a little bit of everything. A little mobility, ability to throw on the run, got some velocity, but you wouldn't call him a high velocity guy. He gives you ability down by the red zone, plays pretty clean football. The improvisation here. Tell me this doesn't remind you a bit of Russell. Rolling out to your right. Got the whole defense bought in, floated back to the left. I mean, this thing was like the Packers game to Wilson in the championship. It reminded me of. Off his back foot, just floats it on over. Can throw off platform, can throw from a couple of different variety of arm angles. Got a little bit of subtle pocket mobility to him at times. It's not always the greatest. Sometimes there's some stuff with him in the pockets, a little off, but a little bit here. Just nice ability here to subtle climb to the left and up. Clear yourself for that pass rush coming on your right. Find the man in the sea of black. Sea of black jerseys. Nice little throw in on there. Like it. A couple of things that I do want to look at here is I'm going to show you kind of some of what he brings as a runner, and it's not bad. There's some scramble ability here with him. As you can see here, it's not sudden. Again, that's just another throw on the run that I like, but not sudden, but he can reverse field, buy himself a little bit of time, but you can kind of see, hopefully through some of these runs I'm going to show you, and I'm just going to kind of bury through them a little bit, that it's good mobility. It's plus mobility. It's not hyper dynamic mobility to the nth degree. It's good. It'll get the job done, and certainly he'll be able to go and steal you a couple of first downs over the course of the game at the next level. But he's not going to be able to lean on it like Lamar or like a Josh Allen necessarily. I would say in regards to that's not exactly where I see from him on the tape a little bit. Here, like he does get the score here, but you can see it takes him a little bit of time to kind of always gonna get to the spot here against these other defenders in the open field. It's not bad. Again, I don't want to sell it as being unbad, but especially when it comes to this kind of escapability stuff, I don't think he's hyper escapable either. You can kind of you can corral him. He's got that quick release and ability to throw off platform, and he can be off his back foot and let it go. But you see these guys able to get their hands around him. He's not going to bounce around too much in that pocket or get away from too much stuff back there and going through the tape. So it's good mobility, but it's not next level. You can see here, cut back, just nowhere to go. It's not bad. But you also just kind of go, yeah, but I don't want to give the A grade on her. Let's not oversell his mobility as a runner. So where I wanted to take this a little bit is we got a plus arm. We do have some plus mobility to him. Good decision making. Not a flash in the pan, 1 year wonder. Pretty good from the health standpoint, and what you're getting there is there's no major, huge health concerns with him. Not an older prospect in what he brings. There's a lot here you're seeing that's rising him up with these draft boards from the NFL standpoint of things. And I think it's driven in large part a little bit too, because of course, quarterbacks are mattering more than ever. And that you really want to try to find that guy. This is the thing everybody's trying to do, is go find that guy that you can get on the rookie contract who can be really functional even. You'd love it if he can be a Jaden Daniels. But if he can just be really functional, a la like kind of what Russell Wilson was when he first walked in, he was more than functional, of course. He was that, and all of the improvisation and the magicianship and stuff he brought to the table as well. But if you can get that and then build a really great team around them, they're not costing you a lot. And so it can be a way to where you don't have to spend for that high price quarterback out there. Part of what could kind of drive this as much as the player evaluation and how good Snyder might see him being, or where he sees his true, ceiling being at. The one thing I wanted to just kind of, and in this article just came out a couple of days ago, and I think that it really kind of captures a little bit of where I have my worries and issues, where I go, okay, the size worries me a little bit. The mobility is good, but is he going to be able to get away from NFL rushers and spies at the linebacker? Are you going to have to, is he going to force teams to dedicate a spy to him in that way? A lot of his production's on the RPO and the quick stuff. He's not doing as much going through reads or being asked to have to, come to the line of scrimmage and kind of control things up at there. But this was an article, and I'll read it through here pretty quickly. We'll pounce over to you guys. But this was an article that sort of captured a little bit of what I'm sort of was sensing from him on tape. So this is by Corey Kinnan. This is out there. It's on Daft on Draft. Just an article online out there that you can go out there and find. Shout out to him on that. But let's read through on this here. The 2025 NFL Draft standing of Ole Miss quarterback Jaxson Dart has been all over the map as we near the NFL scouting combine. While Dart was up and down at the Reese's Senior Bowl, some left it thinking he was the best quarterback in mobile, while others thought he left a ton on the bone. The Ole Miss quarterback legitimately remains one of the biggest mysteries of the draft class, where he will land. Box score stats, completion percentage, and analytic metrics like EPA and CPOE do not paint a complete picture. That's why weighted on target percentage is such a standard setting bar for me to use to evaluate these quarterbacks against years past. Dart's accuracy profile is second highest in the class, slightly above average. Given the nature of the quarterback class, which has been discussed ad nauseum, it is vital to compare it to the historical trends of the other quarterbacks drafted over the last 3 seasons. So let's dive on in. Let's start with the deep ball. Dart throws the third most accurate deep ball in the class behind just Colorado's Shedeur Sanders, who has the highest weighted on target percentage in the class by a large margin, and Ohio State's Will Howard. It falls on target at a 51.67% clip. Dart's deep ball falls within the same percentage point as Alabama's Jalen Milroe, but about 2 percentage points below average over the last 3 years. Looking at other quarterbacks over that time frame with a similarly accurate deep ball, Indianapolis Colts' Anthony Richardson was on target at a 1% better clip. Bo Nix's deep ball sat at an average at about 2% better, and Michael Penix's deep ball was 3% better coming out of Washington. Minnesota's J.J. McCarthy is the only quarterback with a below-average deep ball to be drafted in the first round over the last 3 years. Miami's Cam Ward, 41.86%, very likely joins that list as well. So he's got the 51.67% clip. That's not bad. That's pretty good. But you can see from historical norms, it's not ground earth shattering. It's a little bit why if you go to first round status, to me, you want to have a little bit of that being maybe on the uptick more than you want on the downtick. And I'd measure to guess, it's not listed in this article, I'd measure to guess that a guy like Jaden Daniels had a very, very high clip in regards to that. Dart's on target percentage along the boundary at 66.67% sits slightly above average and identical to Howard's this season at Ohio State. Compared to other top quarterbacks in the class, Sanders was on target on a boundary throws on 75% of his looks, while Ward sits below average at 64%. So a lot of variance there between some of these prospects in this class. Throwing over the middle and in the short game, this shouldn't be too big of a surprise in an RPO-laden offense, is where Dart's weighted on target percentage gets most of its juice. Over the middle, Dart is the best in the class, connecting at a 78% clip, whopping 8% over average. Dart also operates the short game at an above average on target clip, hitting the mark on 89% of his looks with an average sitting at 86.5%. So he's making his hay. He's doing his work in the middle of the field at the college level. Something just of interesting to note, and it can keep in mind at a very high level here. And this is where he does his best stuff, so to speak. This is a snag in Dart's accuracy profile. Where Dart's profile gets interesting and splits from a similar prospect, Howard is where the meat of their body of work came from. Howard's weighted on target percentage and charting profile came exclusively against the top-ranked teams plus Michigan that Ohio State played in the regular season and during that college football playoff. Much of Dart's profile is lifted by a torrid stat line that he ripped against FSC teams, a group of 5 teams, and decimated Wake Forest program during an Ole Miss non-conference schedule. If you parse out weighted on target percentage from those first 4 games versus his body of work against SEC opponents, including the bowl game against an opt-out laden Duke team, it tells a clearer picture. Dart's weighted on target percentage in that 4-game sample size to start the season was a blazing 83.76%. He connected on 13 of 15 deep balls, threw along the boundary at a 75% clip, and threaded the football over the middle at an 89% clip. His body of work against SEC opponents, plus the bowl game, where Dart even lit up the Blue Devils, 59.28. You got those first 4 games, kind of had, as you guys know in college, those first games are set up to be easy games to prep you to let you get through. He feasted on that competition, and there was quite a dip there where he goes from 83.76% on his weighted on target percentage down to 59.28 once he starts playing the SEC. Kind of notable. Dart went from 13 of 15 on his deep balls in the first 4 games of the season to then 18 of 46 on deep balls when he went against the SEC, and he went from a 75% clip on the boundary throws to 65%, 89% clip over the middle went down to 73%. So just to remove any bias that may be interpreted, Sanders' weighted on target percentage was split between conference plus the bowl game and non-conference. In his non-conference schedule against North Dakota State, Nebraska, and Colorado State, Sanders' weighted on target percentage came out to 76.09%. In conference plus his bowl game against BYU, Sanders' weighted on target percentage was still 73.26%. So only a real 3% drop once he went up against the quote-unquote harder competition. Part of me wonders what the perception of Dart would be is if his EPA and other analytical metrics were not inflated against the likes of Furman, Middle Tennessee State, Georgia Southern, and Wake Forest. And so there's some more stuff on this we can go into a little bit more if you guys really want to in this article. I definitely recommend reading it. It's daft on draft football, but I think you guys get basically the main points here on what's at play here. I'll do the wrap up. Let's wrap it up. Average at operating the short game and a below average deep ball thrower and along the boundary, Dart lives over the middle of the field. At the NFL level, the middle of the field gets condensed due to narrower hashes and numbers. Is that success going to continue? While Dart has the second highest weighted on target percentage in the class behind only Sanders, that is an indictment of the class as a whole. His number is just slightly above average in terms of ball placement and accuracy charted over the last 3 years. Given his performance in an extremely juvenile offense that comprises complexity for speed and how frequently he was late and lacked anticipatory throws, it makes me question his ability to pick up an NFL playbook efficiently or effectively. Mix that with just ordinary arm talent and above average athleticism, and finding ways to bind to the quarterback as a whole is limited, even over a quarterback with a similar accuracy profile and tools in Will Howard, who played in an offense far more diverse in NFL passing concepts and line of scrimmage protection and check work. Some have told me Dart's draft stock is likely fits around 100 to 150. Other intel indicates his grades seem to fall into day 3 consistently. So I don't know where he's hearing on that, because I'm hearing a lot of talk and call to him being a first round guy here in this upcoming draft. But that article, I think, did a really good job of kind of surmising more into the analytics, more just kind of a general feeling I had been kind of reading before reading the article. So there's a little bit of confirmation bias there, but just more of you have a general feeling about this already, and you kind of read that and it kind of puts the pieces together in your brain there's kind of that. And that's why I still kind of keep my grade where it is. But it is why I wanted to prepare you guys for the fact that this is a guy that a general manager could fall in love with. You see that toughness and that moxie and that poise in the pocket and some of the mobility he brings and the improvisational, and to be able to work off script, yet still be able to play a real clean brand of football. And they're going to say that drives me in, along with being a guy that would seem like a pretty good leader and still a pretty young player, not an older prospect. So I think it's very likely to drive him up in the first round. Is it going to be our Hawks? I don't know. You let me know, dude. Would you like to see the Hawks take him? Is this a guy that you guys are you're liking, or would you like to still see him? Maybe, hey, I'll take him, but take him later on, or maybe, hey, I'm not at him. I don't like him as much as some of the other guys in this class.